All right. Well, I'm pleased to be joined by Bob Gardner, CEO and founder of Gardner Builders right here in Minneapolis. Bob, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing well, Brian. Thank you.
Good. We are just talking about how summer is flying by, and it seems like that's always the case this time of year, but good time for building things. Hopefully it sounds like you're keeping busy out there, which is nice. But tell us a little bit about, I guess, if you could start with, I know that Gardner Builders has been around for, I think you were founded in 2010, right here in Minneapolis. Is that right?
Correct.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah. I wonder if you could tell us a little bit about that and how you came to found the company and some of the specific sectors that you work in, and just tell us a little bit more about that.
certainly. I appreciate the opportunity to chat with you and for the folks that read Finance and Commerce. It's an honor and a pleasure. So founding Gardner Builder. So I've actually started construction. Nobody in my family was in construction. My dad was in the Air Force, retired from the Air Force, and we have. I took a class in high school in Hampton, Virginia, called World of Construction, and I had a teacher named Harold Heinbaugh who actually honored me at the end of the year with most outstanding student in the world of construction in front of 3,000 of my closest peers at school. So it was actually humbling and energizing at the same time. Complete honor. And we built a cross section of a house and got to learn all the pieces and parts of how construction gets put together and all the trades that work and in order to make that come to fruition. And so I had a pretty long and circuitous journey to starting Gardner Builders. Did an apprenticeship at Newport News Shipbuilding, building aircraft carriers and submarines. I went to Wisconsin and studied civil engineering with an emphasis on construction engineering management. And then spent some time out in San Francisco where I met my wife who grew up in Minnesota. And so then we ended up here. And I worked at several places here in Minnesota prior to starting Gardner Builders. But I have four young, and now they're not young anymore, but I had at the time I had four young children, and I would come home, you know, and they would greet me with this amazing energy. And I didn't like the place I worked, but I loved what I did. And so I wasn't able to reciprocate that energy to them. And so it dawned on me that there's opportunities to create a company where I would love to work and others would love to work as well. And so when I founded Gardner Builders, the philosophy has been honed, but we only have one goal, and it's a place. It's that we create a place where people who come to work with us feel valued for the work that they do and who they are as human beings. They feel challenged in the work that we give them, so that they do, that there's this insatiable desire to continue to do more, and that we provide an environment where they love to come to work, whether that's the field or in the job site or in the office. And if we do that, we create this really positive environment for the construction world. And so we look at our opportunity to create a place where our employees come first. Clients hire us for a business objective, but if we create a place where our employees feel that, they're going to bring that energy home and their family's going to feel it, but then they're also going to bring it to our trade partners and our design partners. And we can't do what we do without great trades and people who do the work physically, but we also can't do what we do without great design partners who help us, imagine and envision what the client wants to live in at the end of the day. So if we do all that well, we're going to create an amazing journey, and then hopefully, do more projects. And so we've gone from, October 1st of 2010, and with a couple of employees, myself and a co-founder, Jeff Coleman, to where now I have four business partners, and Bert Westerman, Barry Stoffel, Dave Hecker, and then John Hellman. And we all have different roles. I play the role of founder, CEO, and president. But we complement each other well, and we have grown the business to a point where here we are almost 13 years later, and have nearly 200 employees and offices in 3 locations. So we call them culture hubs in Duluth, Milwaukee, and Minneapolis. And then last year we completed projects in 15 different states. So we do work around the country. We travel with clients that we enjoy doing work with, and they appreciate us for how we do the work we do.
Okay. And so tell us a little bit about the types of projects you typically pursue.
So as we started out, it was, it's baby steps, and it was focused on mostly Class A, high end, high touch, really demanding clients. So we did a bunch of work with one of the largest Fortune 500 companies in town when we started, and we still do quite a bit of work for them. And then in the high rises downtown, where it's not easy to get in. So our philosophy is you have to be a guest, a great guest, because great guests always get invited back. And so started out as really kind of like high end, high touch tenant improvement. And we've expanded that to, we've got a service group that we probably have 14 service vans on the road now. We do industrial, ground up industrial. We do historic renovation, the Dayton's project, the Leona project up in Duluth are 2 of the, kind of premier projects that we've worked on. So building repositionings. We're doing quite a bit of healthcare, and then retail ground up, the industrial side of stuff. And then we're doing more like life sciences and more high tech type projects as well. So it's started out very focused on tenant improvement so that we could build get our feet underneath us. And as we've grown and as we've added more teammates, we've expanded our, the lines of business that we pursue.
Okay. Have you done any of the conversion projects? There's been, like office to apartment conversions, things like that. Seems to be a thing now.
Yeah. So in Duluth, we did 2 projects for Roars, which were office that got converted to apartments, right adjacent to our office in downtown Duluth. And then Leona was the former jail that got converted to 33 market rate apartments, and has garnered a bunch of attention nationally for the efforts put into that historic building.
Yeah, I imagine all those projects are unique, but are there any particular challenges that come with doing a conversion project like that? What are some of the common threads?
Common threads are, they have historic tax credit dollars to them, and so there are very specific and sometimes ambiguous criteria, and it all depends on the team that's looking at the project, and it all depends on how how the building wants to be converted. And so there are things that need to be maintained or recreated to create that historic piece. And so, sometimes and oftentimes, the tradespeople want to just get after it and do great work. But then there's, when there's a little bit of ambiguity, we have to make sure that we've got great partners that help us focus on the work that needs to take place in order to qualify for the tax credits. And so that actually becomes a little bit of a balancing act. But it's also one that we've become really accustomed to. And I think have created great partnerships in order to help our clients realize those benefits of the tax credits.
Yeah, it's interesting. A lot of those projects wouldn't go forward, but for the tax credits. So, from my understanding, so
Completely.
yeah. So what else can you tell us? I know that you've had a couple of your projects. I think 2 or 3 are in our F&C top projects this year. Anything in particular you wanted to highlight or talk a little bit about as far as some of the more recent projects?
Sure. we did a nice project for Davis and Associates and lighting distributor that handles, probably 800 different lines of lighting, and really fantastic client. And that was a fun project for our team to work on. And we've gotten to know the team over there at Davis really well. I think that's, we're honored to have that be a project that was recognized by Finance and Commerce. We have some others, I think, there's, and maybe not this year, but in the past of like 2021, where we did a Bell Bank repositioning, which kind of reskinned the building and turned it into this amazing space. Um, and then the 222 downtown Minneapolis, their lobby reimagining and common spaces. That's just it's really reinvigorated the building, and given everything else that's going on over the past 3 years, it's been a kind of bright spot in downtown. So we're again grateful to have been recognized for that. And
Yeah, I'm familiar with that 222 building. It's where Finance and Commerce has its offices, so that's great. Great job there. So,
thank
what
you.
else can you tell us looking ahead, I guess, to the next sort of the macro outlook for construction here in the next 6 to 12 months? A lot of stuff going on. It seems like inflation's moderating a little bit at least, and although the Fed is still talking about maybe another interest rate hike, but that's going to have an impact. But what are your thoughts on sort of where we're headed with construction here, um, looking
I'm,
forward?
I'm bullish. I think, we've the speculation during COVID was that, that projects would dry up. And I think construction maybe is one of the only sectors in the market that actually grew through COVID and through, the recession. Um, we are quite honestly, we're having record years as well, and we're busier than we've ever been. And which is a great thing. We're adding phenomenal team members, and we have clients that want to continue to build with us. Um, I do see. I actually don't, with office. So it's certain sectors that everything goes in cycles, and right now office is somewhat taking a beating, but when somebody maybe wants to move out of downtown and move somewhere else, or that leaves a vacancy downtown where it maybe leaves an opportunity for somebody else who wanted to be downtown previously to move downtown. And we're seeing folks move out, and we're seeing folks move in. And I don't know that it's a bigger move exodus out of downtown Minneapolis than there are coming in. But I'm sure that the data analysts will tell you it's probably leaning towards leaving downtown. But I see some really cool projects on the horizon that are bringing new Class A space. If you look at the Class A space around that's being new Class A that's being developed, they're nearly full. And so you can see there's this thirst for really high amenity and nice space. I do see, industrial, while it was taking off, is moderated a little bit, but it's still very busy. Healthcare, there's continuous work in healthcare, and healthcare maybe paused a little bit more during the past 3 years, but we're starting to see that move up as well. As well as retail on the early years took a pretty hard hit, and it's having a pretty nice rebound as well.
Okay. And what do you see for the future of your company in particular? Do you plan to expand into other markets or perhaps other project types? What can you talk about that a little bit?
Certainly. Again, we're in Duluth, Culture Hub Duluth, Milwaukee. We just won a large world headquarters for a large corporation there. We'll expand in Milwaukee. We are doing three fairly sizable projects in Chicago, and there's a natural draw to Chicago. We haven't made a commitment to show up and open an office in Chicago, but we have a fairly large presence there now. And the client that we have that developed the Dayton's project, we're doing a large project for them in Chicago. And then we have clients that take us all over the country. And so we've developed really robust alliance partnerships with large contractors around the country. And so when we travel with clients, sometimes we'll do the work ourselves, but in markets where we've got that robust relationship, we'll lean on alliance partnerships, other contractors to help us fulfill the commitment to the client.
Okay. Well, and just to backtrack a little bit, you mentioned you went to high school in Virginia. Are you from that
Yeah,
area?
I'm from everywhere. I've grown up all over the country. I was born on the Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs and lived in Alaska, Washington State, up in Rhode Island where my dad lives. But my started high school in Air Academy High School in Colorado, and then I moved to Hampton, Virginia, and worked there. Like finished high school there, and then did my apprenticeship. Started working in construction, but did my apprenticeship as a outside machinist, building aircraft carriers and submarines in Virginia, and then finished that apprenticeship and went to Wisconsin to study civil engineering.
Nice. Well, I'm a lifelong Minnesotan, except for a brief time when I lived in the Chicago area, but I love it here, and we're happy to have you here.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah. Anything else you want to touch on before we let you go, or any parting thoughts?
Yeah, I think and I don't know that the point of our business is getting awards and recognition, but as we've talked previously, there's some recognition that we've gotten from best places to work or most innovative companies to work for through Fast Company. We're grateful for those recognitions, but they come from creating meaningful teams within our organization, and it's the people that work within I work with at Gardner Builders that are creating amazing things out in the world. And so part of the recognition from Fast Company is we've got a group called Pulse, and it's basically this keeping the pulse on the culture of Gardner Builders. And there are no executives, there are no owners in that group. It's boots on the ground team members that actually discuss ideas. And so we had an accounting woman who said she was grateful to work here because she just had a baby and that she had a place to have a wellness room within our office. And then we had another woman who's a laborer and said, hey, well, that's great. That's for the office. But on the job site, when you're pregnant, you've had a baby, you have to go pump in the Biffy. And so to create a time to pump in the Biffy, that's not really ideal. And so it sparked an opportunity for discussion to create wellness pods. And we don't know that we want to own this. Like we've created the idea as a team, and it's so we've launched wellness pods in 3 of our projects to create a space for nursing mothers or folks that maybe need to take a break to make a phone call to a doctor or make a doctor's appointment for their kids or for prayer or but they're like deliberately placed in a time when we know that outside of veterans, so the number one cause for suicide is construction. So this number one industry. So outside of veterans, the number one industry for suicides is construction. And so mental health and mental wellness is a big push for us. And so creating wellness pods is also one of the opportunities to provide relief for teammates or trade partners who need a break or need an opportunity to go make a phone call. Um, Oftentimes, when your boots on the ground on the job site, it's all about productivity, and there's not enough time to actually take a mental pause. And I think we need to make space for that deliberately, not just at Gardner Builders, but across the industry.
Yeah, well, good for you for doing that. I wrote a couple of articles last year about the whole mental health crisis, and
Yeah.
especially in construction. And good for you for being aware of that and taking some action to be a better employer. And workplace has always been a big deal, but workplace culture, I think, is especially important now as people compete for talent. And it just it makes good business sense, and it's obviously good for the workers too. So good for you for doing that.
Yeah, thank you very much. If you don't have great workers, you can't do great work.
Well, Bob, thank you again for your time. Been a pleasure chatting with you. Hope we can stay in touch. And
Certainly. Thank you, Brian.
yeah, have a great day, and good luck with your projects.
Thank you. Take care.
Take care.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye.